Alrighty, thank you guys for joining. We are going to go over what is working now in Meta, and then I have a slide about TikTok as well. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we are going to go to the slideshow. All right. Can everyone see my screen? Cool. All right, what is working now? So we went through the membership. Shout out to a couple of members who have been sharing what's working. Mike gave us a great rundown last week. Shane and I were talking about this. Andrew and I were talking about this. So this is kind of over many different spend levels, many different accounts. And a lot of what this is just what's working in these accounts. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work in every account, but it can give you some really good frameworks for testing based on what we're already seeing in money that's being spent on other accounts. So we're going to start with medium-sized accounts. So it's accounts spending less than 50K per month. And this is in Q1 of 2023. So basically the way we like to set it up is breaking out prospecting from retargeting. With these medium-sized accounts, we can spend some time testing versus scaling. We can spend some time at ABO versus CBO. And so we put in here kind of some ideas, some inspiration, and then about how much we are spending on those types of campaigns. And then obviously you can kind of edit it and adjust it to fit your account. So top of funnel ABO campaign for testing. I like using ABO for testing in any sized account just because it gives me more control over what I'm doing and how I'm setting up the test. So in an ABO campaign, you can do lookalike stack audiences, interest persona stacks, or broad. Those are my three go-tos right now. In a 10 to 50K spend account, I might do, I usually have a broad audience going. Broad is working best for me in the majority of my accounts right now. Like a broad lowest cost. If it's a product that is specific to a gender or an age group, I will also put those in that broad targeting. Otherwise, it's just completely broad. And then simple exclusions. So like 180-day purchasers and 180-day website visitors, depending on the life cycle purchase of the product. I might also exclude all-time purchasers like a Klaviyo sync. But it kind of depends on like if people are repurchasing the product, if they buy it once and then never come back, if it's something that you would normally buy once a year, things like that. So that's broad. In terms of interest persona, I love using bigger interests. So right now, and I mean, for the past couple of years, I guess now that we're far post iOS 14, larger audiences are working better. I like larger interest stacks. So I base my interests out of personas. So instead of just doing an interest that is Target or Amazon or Netflix, instead I would create a persona of a person. And instead of saying one thing that they like, I would say, well, this is the person I'm trying to create. What are they interested in? And so that might be like a basic white girl type audience where it's Netflix, it's Amazon, it's Target, it's Starbucks, it's brands that she would like, whether that's Chacos or Uggs or I don't know, any of those, like that type of like where she's at in her life. Or if it's an outdoorsy person, outdoorsy man, then it could be Dick's Sporting Goods, it could be REI, it could be hiking boots, it could be camping, it could be recreation. So like and it doesn't have to be that related as long as it's part of that persona. So that's kind of how I like to base out my interest persona stacks. And then lookalikes, for this sized account, I'm seeing like 8% stacks or 10% stacks working well. I try not to go too granulated with the lookalike stacks, as in like right now, I'm not really using more than two separate lookalikes. So like an 8% stack and a 10% stack. In those stacks, and the way that I mean that is generally I'll do maybe like between 3 and 5 audiences where it's 3 to 5, all of the same percentage. So let's just say 10% stacks off of different seed audiences. So it could be a 10% off of website visitors last 180 days, 10% Instagram engagers last 180 days, 10% purchasers last 180 days, 10% video viewers. And that one would be kind of a mixed one. Sometimes I'll break it up by high value or low value lookalikes. But larger is working better generally as long as you have decent data in your account for the pixel to work off of. So those are kind of my go-to ABO audiences. You could do it a couple of different ways. You could do one ABO campaign and have a lookalike as one ad set, an interest as one ad set, and you could do broad as one ad set. It's not wrong to do it that way or any other way for just structure and organization purposes. I like breaking those out generally. I always like having broad on its own just because I feel like broad can be scaled so much more, and I like seeing broad at the campaign level. So that's just me. Creatives that are working 10 to 50K, static graphics, lifestyle images. You don't sleep on the statics. I know that video is everything. We're always talking about hooks and thumb stop and hold rate and all those things, but don't sleep on static graphics. Sometimes they can get the point across just as fast. Here are some ideas for videos, how to kind of test them, where to start. A lot of times I like getting 60-second videos from creators or just not giving them any time limit at all. And then I'll go through and edit it, or I'll use my video editor to help edit it to different lengths. And then that gives me some more scale. Once I find an ad that's working really well, then I can find scale with making it shorter or longer, etc. And then also landing pages are really important. I don't think we talk about it enough, is that ads can only get them half of the way. Ads get them interested, it validates them, and it gets into the website. After that, the landing page really has to do the rest of the work. So make sure that you are optimizing your landing pages, make sure that you're asking questions about your landing page. If you have, the bandwidth and the ability to do that, consider hiring like a landing page team or expert. Those things are really important. And obviously the conversion rate really impacts the the ability of the ad to succeed. If you have a 0.5 website conversion rate versus a 5% website conversion rate, it's the night and day for an ad. And so a best performing ad it's really symbiotic in terms of the best performing ad can only be as good as the landing page that it directs to, and then vice versa. So scaling CBO campaigns, this is really the only time, excuse me, that I'm using CBO is in scaling, and generally 1 to 3 audiences. Anything more than that, it's not going to adequately distribute the spend between what you have. Sometimes I'll do a scaling CBO on lowest cost and cost cap simultaneously in 2 different campaigns. It just depends. Some accounts cost cap works and some it doesn't. So what I did was start with totally broad and then add additional audiences as needed to scale. So I normally start with completely broad as a scaling CBO. I don't run a broad as an ABO and a broad as a scaling CBO. So just keep that in mind. I generally don't run 2 of the same audience with the same bidding structure, or the same bid cap or cost cap in the same account at the same time. There are obviously nuances to where you could do that, but generally I do not. I do like cost cap. Bid cap works sometimes. It's worth testing. But I have been finding success with cost cap, especially in accounts with enough data to where they can kind of direct what that CPA, what that cost cap should be. So yeah, ABO campaign for testing, scaling for the CBO. Continuing for those medium-sized accounts, definitely try Advantage shopping campaigns. If you have it rolled out to your account, definitely try it. I'm using it for a lot of testing right now. One thing that I know is that ASC does need a decent amount of spend. So try to give it as much as you can, as much as you're able. Whatever my CPA is, my average CPA in the account, I try to make my ASC budget at least 3 times that. And it's not a cost cap, so it likely will spend that full amount. Obviously you can keep a close eye on it, watch it, make sure that it's not spending an insane amount of money. But ASCs do need significantly more data than lowest cost or cost cap or bid cap campaigns. So just keep that in mind. Also, you can test existing customer budget amounts. Again, we've seen success with 5, 10, and 30%. So that would be 5% existing customer, 95% prospecting, 10% existing customer, 90% prospecting, and then 30-70. I had some really good success with a 90-10 over Q4. But that one died out quite a bit, that specific one, in January. So I rebuilt it. And so we'll see how that one goes. But again, it depends on your brand, do you have repurchasers generally? Are people coming back? Is it a one and done? How long is it taking them to come back? So that kind of thing. Make sure that you set up your existing customers, list in the Meta Business Manager to make sure that you're prospecting versus retargeting adequately. And then 3 to 5 ads, cycling in frequency if it ever gets too high. Especially in prospecting, I don't like my frequency to get over like a 2.5. Retargeting is fine to get a little bit higher, but the problem is that with ASC, it's obviously both. So that is kind of why we pick that 2.5 range. 3 to 5 ads is a good amount. At first, Meta was suggesting 10 ads, and we found that was just way too much, and the ads weren't getting any spend. I am still seeing in some of my smaller accounts, ASC is giving preferential delivery to 1 ad, so that's still happening. But then you can kind of go in, turn some off if they're getting a ton of delivery but not performance. My small account, that's happening in that right now. The ad that's getting all the delivery is doing great, so I don't want to mess it up. So just kind of keep an eye on that. And then what I like to do with my ASCs is have a variety of very different ads. So I might have a like a fun, entertaining reel style video. And then I might do an educational video, maybe a longer one. Maybe I do a graphic, like a split screen graphic that is kind of a comparison graphic. Maybe I do a review graphic. Maybe I do a product carousel. So like just very, very different. That way the algorithm has so much different room and data to pick and choose how it's going to deliver. Depending on your product offering, DABAs are still working really well. People are loving catalogs. Shops are still being pushed. Make sure that your shops are set up. And then DABAs are kind of a good way just to like let Facebook optimize. People like shopping. It kind of gets past the extra flair and gets them right to the shopping. So large audience, we've talked about what we can do with the audiences. I like using really large audiences for my DABAs. Sometimes I won't even put exclusions in my DABAs because I don't mind if existing customers see those if it is relatively generic, but you can obviously add in those exclusions if you want. And then here we have at the bottom just our retargeting. I've consolidated all of my middle funnels in all of my accounts. And then I've added in like a remarketing BPA if that works for the brand. Normally 30 days, depending on the customer buying cycle, maybe 45, maybe 60. Generally I don't go less than 30 unless there's like a really good reason for me to do that. And then I give some ideas here for middle funnel, different creatives you can do. And we have a lot in the creative channel as well. If you want to go through creative of what's working now, we'll talk about it just a little bit here. But Sarah Levinger also did a what's working now in creative webinar last week, I believe. So that's in the creative channel as well. Alrighty, small to medium sized accounts. So it's basically the same thing that we did in medium, but I kind of have it a little bit less granulated and a little bit more broad in terms of we're not going to have as many campaigns. We're not going to have as many ads. We do want to make sure each of those campaigns and each of those ads are getting enough spend to be successful. And so it's just a little bit more simplified. So small to medium accounts, ad accounts spending 3 to 9K. We still want that testing ABO. Instead of having all of them in that testing ABO, I might have 2 interest persona stacks. If lookalikes work really well in the account, I might do 1 lookalike and 1 interest. Just because I don't want to dilute the budget too much. Same thing with creatives. I try to have maybe like 4 creatives, 3 to 5, average of 4 creatives per ad set in my small to medium accounts. That way, again, there's still options for delivery, but it's not too many. Also, testing is just going to take a longer amount of time. Normally what I do with these size accounts is that I have like a handful of like legacy creatives that are just our best performers. And then I'll only test like 1 or 2 creatives a month. Maybe as many as like 5 if we're really trying something, but I try to leave on those ads that we know are working. And then test the ones that we don't know, but while still giving plenty of delivery to the ones that we know are working until they stop working. And then you can obviously test more, but you want to continue testing that way. When those do die out, the legacy ads, you have other ads in the pipeline that are ready to go and proven. Same thing here is scaling CBO broad, and then kind of how to break it out in terms of creative, same thing. Generally, I don't do cost caps in my smaller accounts just because of the money that it would take to get it to scale correctly, especially if I don't have the budget to scale, if things are working, if it's a set budget, I generally don't like to do cost caps because it's really hard to budget when it could completely overspend or completely underspend. So for these size accounts, I like doing lowest cost, just to kind of keep it more steady, and things like that. If you have an account that is super, super strict on like ROAS and return, but like could scale plenty if the return is there, then cost cap might be a good option. As long as you have some room and some wiggle room to grow or to kind of shrink. Cost caps kind of, though, I mean, as we know, they spend when the delivery is there. Going into retargeting, same thing here. This is pretty much the exact same setup for retargeting as in a bigger account. Obviously a little bit of a smaller budget, but about the same percentage. Loop all of that retargeting together. A lot of times I like to add in brand stories, organic content that's performed well, definitely reviews, organic, like TikToks and Reels, those types of things. Those work really well in retargeting. And then just make sure you have your exclusions, especially in that 6-month window. That way you aren't hitting people too much. And then I know there's going to be a little bit of overlap between the remarketing DPA and the large middle funnel. I'm okay with that. If you're really interested with a high intent to purchase and you get to see a brand story and then you get to see the product you were looking at, I'm okay with that overlap. Alrighty, we're going to go into small accounts, ad account spending less than 2K a month. So again, super, super consolidated. We're going to have only 3 campaigns. You could even scale this down to 2 if you wanted to. So a lot of times what I'll do is mark out this scaling CBO in this the small accounts. If I don't have room to scale, if it's a set budget, no matter what the performance is, then I'll cut out that scaling campaign and just do a top of funnel ABO campaign. And then I'll do like key interest audiences and maybe a 5% lookalike stack. And then if there's anything like, specific that you need to put in there, but yeah, if you don't have room to scale or a somewhat open budget to go higher, if delivery is there, then that's how I would kind of break that up without that scaling CBO. In these small accounts, I'm generally not using more than 3 creatives per ad set. Again, just because you don't want to dilute the budget too much. Also in these small accounts, there won't be as much landing page testing. There's really not that much testing at all. I might run maybe 1 test a month. But because the budget is low, because we need a significant amount of spend in order to be able to see the data and give a reasonable response and a reasonable hypothesis and conclusion, I'm not doing much testing in there. And with these accounts, obviously it's a little bit different for everyone. If there can be legacy ads, great, use them. If not, like, it's okay to launch new things, but these ones are really account specific because it's such a small budget. You really have to be careful with what you're testing and what you're doing. And then for this one, I don't do a catalog retargeting. I just consolidate and do 1 middle funnel and do everything in there. And you can kind of talk to them like they have high to medium intent, but don't assume that in your creative. So that could be the review, like review curated 5 stars. This is the review. Any sort of sign up for our emails to get 15% off your first purchase. You could even add in any other benefits like free shipping over $50 or made in the USA or, gives back to small businesses or whatever that may be, made with whatever type of cotton. I don't know. And then multi-product carousels, bestseller graphics, best performing videos. So just think of like the best of the best, what's working for people who have some level of intent, but definitely do more consolidation in those small accounts. Real quick with creative, I know that we have that other webinar that Sarah did that was wonderful. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. So we have creatives and messaging based on different angles and funnels. So that can be, so we have our example static image with 3 variations of text overlay. So think about exactly what you're trying to test and how you're trying to test that. So you could have an image that works, or let's say a split screen image that works, and then test different text overlay. Or you have the same text overlay that works, and then try different images behind it, that type of thing. Graphics are working well, so definitely try to use those. Destination/landing pages. So this is what we're doing with the creative testing, is you can use a best performing creative and then you have it go to different landing pages. So like listicles like a 5 reasons why, or the 10 top gifts of spring, or the 5 best gifts for your boyfriend for Valentine's Day, things like that. Educational, depending on the product, if there needs to be a level of education, definitely try that. Also, there's optimized product collection landing pages. So like I have an account right now where we always just directed them to the collection page, and so they could start shopping. And so we've been working on some landing page testing and basically optimize that collection page where it has a little bit more education, a little bit more friendly, a little bit more user. The user experience is a little bit better, but then it still goes into the collection, but it's a landing page that we have basically just everywhere that you can shop. So, and then also like creating the creative that goes directly with that landing page. That way, if they're interested in the ad, they click to the website, there's a connection there. And so they know exactly what they were looking for, and they're exactly where they thought they would end up when they clicked on that specific ad. UGC testimonial mashups. I love some mashups right now. I think it just gives another layer of social proof with, 5 different creators, people, saying what they like about the product, things like that. So 1 to 3 seconds, hook them. It's something interesting. It's a question. It's something that if you are a user of Reels or TikTok, that's going to make you stop. Then you're going to demonstrate the problem before you say anything about your product. Remind them, it's like get their attention and then tell them what their problem is, or ask them what their problem is. And then you continue on into product and why you need it. UGC review with B-roll. Do not sleep on B-roll when you're doing some UGC. If you have UGC creators, ask them to shoot B-roll, whether it's their hands, whether it's, just the product on the ground or on the table or whatever that may be. Do not sleep on B-roll. You may need it. Comparison static graphics, like we talked about, like split screens, life before your product, life after the product. It could be versus competitors. It could be, whatever you want to do, but like prove to why they should buy yours and not something else, whether that's a completely different product for the same problem, whether it's the exact same product from a competitor, whether it's just something that's better and more fun. It could even be, why travel to Italy when you can sit at home and do a puzzle? Very, very different, but I'm sure that you could make some sort of comparison as to why the puzzle's better. And then lifestyle statics, don't sleep on those. Pictures from your iPhone, things like that. Don't forget, you can also put text overlay like as if you were on like TikTok or Reels. Alrighty, TikTok. I just have one slide on this. I know that, sometimes I don't think TikTok has as much scale as Meta does. And I think we've all kind of realized that. For me, TikTok has kind of taken a little bit of a downturn since Christmas or since Q4. It seems like people aren't buying as much this month, which is also what's happening on Meta, but we're also seeing it on TikTok quite a bit. So utilizing one-day click ROAS goals to understand the immediate impact. Keep in mind that attribution on TikTok is just really hard because people are likely not to exit their entertainment scroll to go shop. They might click on it, they might be interested, but they're likely not going to stop, shop, check out, get their credit card and purchase. So you really have to have them remember your product, say your brand name in the ad, and really try to be memorable and entertaining enough to where they want to come back later. But they're going to probably come back on a different device. Maybe their tracking is turned off. They might go on their laptop or their tablet, things like that. So, but we know that their mindset is very right now. And so by using a one-day click ROAS, to keep in mind that it's going to be lower. Your one-day click ROAS might be a 0.5 or a 0.6. And then understanding that and kind of finding where that threshold is. But that way it kind of pushes a little bit more urgency and gives you some more right here, understanding around the immediate impact. Also looking at clicks and view attribution, first touch ROAS, post-purchase survey responses. This graphic is from No Post-Purchase Surveys, and Jeremiah in the membership posted this. So thank you to him for that. Basically just showing the time span of finding something on TikTok and then purchasing. So how long did you know about us before you purchased? And this is specifically for TikTok ad, or for people who bought and said that they heard about them from TikTok. Less than a day, less than a week, less than a month, 1 to 3 months, 3 to 12, and more than 12. So keep in mind, there's a really long tail impact, and the data isn't going to be that specific. You're not going to know what ad someone came from. Just know that it's working and trust the process, and approach TikTok from a higher level marketing perspective and less from a day trading ads type perspective. And we mentioned 1-day click ROAS goals are lower. It has a longer tail impact. Definitely with TikTok ads, if you're going to be running TikTok ads, you need to be running post-purchase surveys. This data is super, super helpful. And the data that you have in platform is just, or even on like a third-party software, the data that TikTok has at all, because of the way that users react on Facebook or TikTok, excuse me, the way that users act on TikTok is just doesn't work with attribution at all. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that it doesn't work. It just means that their mindset is different. And we have to kind of play around with that and work with that to accommodate how people are using that platform. This is everything that I have now for what's working now. If you have any questions, definitely reach out. We'll do another what's working now. And then for the next one, we'll do some of those larger accounts. So 50K plus, we'll probably do 50 to 100 and 100 plus. So if you're watching this and you have any of those accounts and you see something that's working really well, please feel free to DM me that. Would love to include it and credit you in the next webinar that we have for what's working. I hope you all have a great weekend. And again, if you have any questions, let us know. Thank you so much.